Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. My name is John Drummond, and today we are going to be talking about the Thunder versus the Nuggets, Part 3, where the Oklahoma City Thunder knock off the Denver Nuggets 129 and 126. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gives you a whopping 35 points per game, 15 assists, 9 rebounds, and 0 turnovers, while Nikola Jokic gives you 32 points per game, 13 assists, and 14 rebounds. An absolute masterclass from the two best players in basketball. And when I watch both of these guys play, it brings me to this thought process where I've seen like a multitude of games. I've seen a multitude of games from these players. I've watched these players play in depth for a long time now. And I'm going to bring up a tweet from Carson Breber from Nerd Sesh. I think he explained this really well. He says, "I don't know how anyone could still think Jokic is the clear best player in the world. Shai is at one of the highest peaks we have ever seen, having a Mount Rushmore scoring season. He's outplayed Jokic head-to-head more often than not in the last 2 years. He's going to be very deservedly win back-to-back MVPs." And I think I share that same sentiment. Not only do I think Jokic isn't the clear best player in the world anymore, I think Shai very well has a case for best player in the world. And it's been something I've been going back and forth on throughout the entire season. When I look at what Shai brings and what values he has on the basketball court versus Jokic, and when I look at both of these guys play on the margins, when I look at how much they impact their teams on both sides of the floor, I come away with saying Shai is much closer than Jokic than maybe the consensus is ready to give. And I just don't think that we can sit here and argue what we're watching. We're watching 32 points per game on a 67% true shooting. We're watching one of the best teams at limiting turnovers in basketball with a very heliocentric style point guard. Somebody that's not able to just give up the ball. Somebody that's able to score in great spots. Somebody that has some of the best downhill ability, some of the best footwork, some of the best touch, some of the best mid-range shooting, great ball handle, great flexibility, great balance. We are watching an all-time great scorer. And the fact that he's gotten better after what we saw last year, which was already considered an all-time great scoring season. Last year, it was 31 points per game on 64% true shooting. This year, it's 32 points per game on a 67% true shooting. These are things that we just have not seen put together. And it's getting to a point where it's like, okay, now it's back-to-back seasons of 30 plus points per game on a 63 plus percent true shooting. We don't see that from guards a lot. And then I don't think he gets enough credit for the floor raising and the ceiling raising that he provides for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. On the Hoop Talk podcast, maybe a few months ago, we had a video about, or a podcast episode about floor raising versus ceiling raising. And Shai's one of the very instances, just like any other all-time great in basketball. He can be a floor raiser and a ceiling raiser, but it's also really weird to think that he's a floor raiser and a ceiling raiser all on the same team in the same season. I think that's what makes it so interesting, because if we take a look, this season alone, the Thunder are a 122 offensive rating and a plus 15 net rating with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the floor. Now, without him, they're a 112 offensive rating, 107.1 defensive rating with a plus 5.6 net rating. So still a good team, but I would say below average offensively without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the floor. Now, a lot of that has to do with Jalen Williams missing time and all those other factors that go in. AJ Mitchell missing time. So the offense could look average to above average with them being fully healthy without an SGA, but I think it doesn't really get talked about how much Shai is really carrying this team. I think today was a perfect example of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander demanding the attention that he's supposed to on a basketball floor, especially against the Nuggets. SGA has mastered the matchup of the Denver Nuggets where they send two to the ball. They have Jokic roaming in the middle of the floor trying to take away the mid-range, and he's just making every single read to the point where and we're going to talk about this a little later, where because he's creating such dribble penetration that he's going to find the open man. That's why we got a multitude of threes from Jalen Williams in this game. I think he had 8 threes in this game, 7 for 11 from 3, shot 63% from 3. OKC shot 40% from 3 on 47 attempts. When you have that level of 3-point shooting and Shai generating a multitude of open 3-point shots because Denver is overcompensating defensively, that's just going to be a very hard recipe to keep up with. So now that we're off the SGA hype train, just for a moment, I want to talk about the other players. And coming into this game, one, I thought OKC was going to lose. One, for the simple fact, no Caruso, no Chet, no J-Dub, no iHeart. We're also going to talk about some of the issues that the Thunder have without Isaiah Hartenstein a little later in the video. I want to shout out Isaiah Joe. I want to shout out AJ Mitchell. I want to shout out Jalen Williams. These guys came to play. Isaiah Joe, he comes in, and also my guy, Jared McCain. I told you guys before the trade deadline, if Jared McCain gets moved, he's going to add a lot of value to whatever team he goes to. He's going to add a lot of value. Tonight, Jared McCain gives you 19 points. He shoots 3 for 5 from 3. AJ Mitchell gives you 24 points, or Jared McCain gives you 13 points, shoots 3 for 5 from 3. Sorry about that. AJ Mitchell gives you 24 points points in this game, shooting 9 for 16 from the field. And AJ Mitchell has missed 6 weeks of basketball. Isaiah Joe gives you 13 points. He shoots 3 for 8 from 3. Jalen Williams gives you 29 points. He shoots 7 for 11 from 3. Having guys who, and now mind you, Jalen Williams is like the second or third center in their rotation. Sometimes they'll go smaller and run Chet at the 5. Sometimes they'll do double big lineups with Chet and iHeart. Sometimes they'll just do iHeart fully at the 5 with maybe Dub at the 4 or something else. Jalen Williams is probably the second to third big out of their rotation. And for him to come in and have this level of a game when I wasn't even as high on a Jalen Williams last season, as we go into the playoffs, you start to see that 3-point shot come along and bring value towards the team. And you also see that post defense that he provided against the Jokic start to be really valuable for this team. So to have those key guys missing, and then Cason Wallace, he only plays 16 minutes this game because he had like 2 fouls in the first quarter. So you're down significantly a multitude of bodies. And these guys are able to come in and win their minutes. They're able to come in and play their role. And this is the part I wanted to talk about because Jokic had a great game offensively. His touch was amazing. I think he shot well from 3. If I take a look at the numbers, he shot 3 for 6 from 3. He had a really good game. 32 points, 13 assists, 14 rebounds. He was great on the offensive end. But this is where I say the Nuggets overcompensating for Jokic on defense is what lost them this game. It's what lost them this game. OKC got a bunch of really good looks just beating Denver in rotation because they have to overcompensate for Jokic on defense. It's like, okay, Jalen Williams is this pick and pop guy who also can't miss tonight. Let's get him in the screen. Let's get Jokic in the action. Now we're immediately sending 2 to the ball. And now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wants to have a 15 assist night with 0 turnovers. And this is where I look at it and say, I would still pick OKC to win a series against Denver. I don't think there's a coverage that the Nuggets can throw at SGA now and say, hey, we can hold you to 7 for 25, or if that was one of the games SGA had in the postseason last year. Now, do I think Jokic can ramp up his defense in the playoffs? Yes, I've seen it happen before. In 2022, he was a solid playoff defender. In 2023, he was a good playoff defender. Last year, he was a good playoff defender. So I'm not writing that off yet, but there are just limitations to what you can do if Jokic is anchoring your defense. And it feels as though tonight, OKC had Denver overcompensating for Jokic consistently, and that's what lost them this game. And that's not me saying Jokic is a bad defender, or that's not me saying Jokic is a bad player or he had a bad night. But on the defensive side, Denver lost this game overcompensating for Jokic. And it's not like the Denver's other guys didn't show up. Aaron Gordon had 23 points. Now, after the first quarter where he had that insane heat streak in the first quarter, he kind of cooled off. Tim Hardaway Jr. came in and had one of his best games of the season. 8 for 12 from 3, 66%. 10 for 16 from the field, 62% on 28 points. Jamal Murray, the numbers don't say that he shot the best. I think from the mid-range, his shot really wasn't falling. But dealing with that physicality and still having a solid game to the level that he did, I'm okay with Jamal Murray's game. I'm okay with it. Because I'm more than confident those mid-range looks he was getting, they're going to fall. They're going to fall. Denver did not shoot bad in this game. They shot 15 for 37. They shot 40% from 3, just like OKC did. It's just OKC shot 10 more attempts and made 4 extra ones. So I don't necessarily think the Nuggets had a bad game. I don't think the fact that Jalen Williams hitting 7 threes, AJ Mitchell having the game that he had, Isaiah Joe having the game he had, Jared McCain having the game he had helps them. And I think it comes from the defensive side of the floor. And another thing I want to talk about is OKC losing the rebounding battle with no iHeart. Now, I don't have the stats right in front of me. As a matter of fact, if I take a look at them, Denver had 56 total rebounds, 16 offensive rebounds versus OKC's 37. I think that's an issue. Without Isaiah Hartenstein, even without Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. As a matter of fact, why don't we go look at our friends from Data Baller? Let's take a look at our friends from Data Baller and let's just see if we can get some looks at Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein's minutes, and we're going to expand it real fast. I'm going to be looking up some numbers on the fly. I apologize for that in advance, but if we take a look at offensive rebounding percentage, they are 8% below league average with just Chet on the floor and no Isaiah Hartenstein. With no Chet or iHeart, they're minus 10 offensive rebounding percentage below league average. And then with Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet, they're a plus 1.2 above league average. And with just Isaiah Hartenstein, they're 0.5% below league average. So they're basically average. I do think the rebounding problem is going to be an issue for OKC. Now they went on a lot of other margins, so it doesn't concern me as much, but I feel as though against a team like Denver, against a team like Minnesota, against a team like San Antonio, that could be an issue. Now, all in all, this is going to be a great series. Like, if we see this as a Western Conference Finals matchup, I think this is going to be a fantastic series because I still think Denver had a very good offensive game. I think Denver played a very good game, and I think they did just enough to win. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at ATB Sports 1. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok at TheBuzzerENT. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at TheBuzzerSports_. Who do you guys think is the best player in the league? Make sure you guys put that in the comment section down below and give me your thoughts on this game and my analysis. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace!